Azure Cost Management for Startups, Stay Under $500 per MO. Welcome back. Today's topic is Azure Cost Management for Startups, Stay Under $500 per MO. We'll cover what you actually need to know about Azure Cost Management for Startups. Next up, moving on to what $500 per month on Azure actually gets you. Before diving into optimization tactics, it helps to know what $500 can realistically cover. The honest answer is, quite a lot, if you make deliberate choices. A solid production setup for a startup might include a couple of B-Series virtual machines, a small managed database, Azure Blob Storage for files and backups, and basic monitoring. Running this on pay-as-you-go pricing in a cost-effective region like East US 2 typically falls between $300 and $450 per month. Here's a rough breakdown to calibrate expectations. Let's talk about next up, Azure Cost Management for Startups, the right tools. Azure Cost Management and Billing is Microsoft's built-in cost monitoring service, and it's free to access. If you're not already using it, open the Azure portal, search for Cost Management plus Billing, and bookmark it. This is where your cost work starts. The three features that matter most for cloud spend management at the startup stage. One thing to do early: set up resource tagging. Tag everything with environment and project name. Once tags are in place, you can filter cost analysis by environment and immediately see whether your dev resources are burning money unnecessarily during off hours. Next up, let's talk about right-sizing Azure VMs, where most startup builds go wrong. Right-sizing Azure virtual machines is the single highest impact action most startups can take. The concept is simple: use the smallest VM that actually handles your workload. In practice, most teams over-provision by one or two size tiers, which means paying 2 to 3 times more than necessary. A common example: a team provisions a D4S_V3 for an API service that averages 15% CPU utilization and uses under 4 GB of RAM. Switching to a V2MS drops the cost from roughly $140 per month to $60 per month, with no noticeable performance impact because B-Series VMs can burst to full CPU when traffic spikes hit. How to find right-sizing opportunities. Now, let's talk about Azure Reserved Instances for SMBs. Is the commitment worth it? Azure Reserved Instances let you pre-commit to using a specific VM size in a specific region for 1 or 3 years, in exchange for a meaningful discount off pay-as-you-go rates. The savings are real. A 1-year reservation typically cuts costs by 30 to 40%. A 3-year reservation can save up to 72% compared to on-demand pricing. For a VM that costs $140 per month on demand, a 1-year reserved rate might come in at $90 per month. The trade-off is flexibility. If your architecture changes or you need to shut down that workload, you've still committed. That said, Azure allows you to exchange reservations for a different VM size or cancel with a 12% early termination fee, so you're not completely locked in. Next up, let's talk about how to set up Azure Budget Alerts and cost controls. Azure Budget Alerts are one of the most underused features on the platform. Setting one up takes about 5 minutes and can prevent the kind of surprise bill that derails a startup's monthly cash flow planning. To create a budget alert. Beyond basic alerts, 2 more controls are worth configuring. Let's talk about spot instances and serverless, 2 more ways to cut Azure costs. Azure Spot instances let you use unused Azure data center capacity at discounts of up to 90% off on-demand pricing. The catch is that Azure can evict your Spot VM with 30 seconds notice when it needs that capacity back. This makes Spot VMs unsuitable for your production API, but they work well for a D4S_V3 that costs $140 per month on demand might run at $14 to $20 per month as a Spot VM. For interruptible workloads, this is a significant line item reduction. Next up, now, using Azure Advisor to find waste you didn't and #39. Know you had. Azure Advisor is a free service that continuously analyzes your Azure usage and surfaces specific, actionable recommendations. It checks across 5 categories, but cost and performance are the 2 that deliver the most value for cloud cost optimization. On the Cost tab, Azure Advisor typically flags the honest limitation: Advisor's recommendations can be conservative. It might not flag a VM sitting at 15% average CPU if it sees occasional spikes, even when those spikes happen only twice a week. Combine Advisor with your own monitoring data from Azure Monitor for a complete picture. Next up, let's talk about a real $500 per month Azure stack for bootstrapped startups. Here is a concrete example of a production-ready stack for a startup serving up to 10,000 monthly active users, coming in around $206 per month in East US 2. This uses a combination of right-sized services, serverless where appropriate, and free tier offerings that Azure genuinely provides. This stack has significant headroom. As you add users or traffic, you might upgrade app service to a D2S_V3, move SQL to a provision tier, or add a second region for redundancy. At that point, costs grow, but you've validated the product and likely have revenue to support the infrastructure investment. According to Flexera's 2025 State of the Cloud report, 82% of organizations cite cloud cost optimization as their top challenge, and average cloud waste runs at 28% of total spend. For startups, that percentage can run even higher because no one is watching the bill closely in the first few months. Let's talk about now. Conclusion. Azure cost management for startups doesn't require deep cloud expertise or a dedicated DevOps engineer. The core approach is consistent. Start with the smallest VM sizes that handle your actual load, use Azure Cost Management and Billing to monitor spending weekly, set budget alerts before you need them, and check Azure Advisor recommendations every month. Reserved instances make sense once your core services are stable, typically after 60 to 90 days in production. Spot VMs and serverless options cut costs further for non-critical workloads. And a well-structured stack can serve thousands of users for well under $500 per month. If you want to go deeper on cloud spend management, our guide to Azure cost optimization for startups under $10,000 per month covers a broader range of strategies for teams at different growth stages. Start with the basics covered here, measure the impact over 30 days, and build from there.